Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth annual No Labels, No Walls Festival. We're so excited to be here, all about transformation. How do we transform ourselves? And then what kind of transformational actions are we taking in our community, and how is that transforming the community? And then finally, after the action, how is the next action you do, transformed as well? So a lot of transformation taking place. We're excited to hear how everybody's doing it. And I just want to say thanks for tuning in. Marcus, want to introduce Marcus, and then we'll go.
Hello, I'm Markus. I'm also producing No Labels, No Walls Festival together with Michael and Mary. And I'm so glad and excited to have Fionn and Jonathan Angus with us here today at the festival. Welcome. And Fionnathan are here to explore how they transform the world through their work, music, and passion. Fionnathan exists to have fun and change the world, to trouble your understanding of ability, to reveal superstars in our midst, and to prove that, in fact, we are the people we've been waiting for. But what is Fionnathan, Fionn and Jonathan?
Hello! How's everybody doing?
We are doing great. We are excited to have you. We have a great festival and we are eager to show your video. Do you want to say a little bit about the video?
Yes. Well, first of all, I am Fionn.
And I am Jonathan, and together we are
Fionnathan.
And we will we'll pass it over to the video. We've already said what we have to say there.
Right.
And unfortunately, we can't stay on. We've just returned from a trip and we picked up a bug.
Yes.
So we're not fully ourselves.
Right.
But this is about our food waste disruption project.
Yes, it is.
Because as many of you know, there's a lot of food that is wasted in the global food system.
Yeah.
And this is one way that we're creating a small disruption to that.
Yeah.
And helping our neighbors make sure that they've got good food on their tables.
Yes, that's right.
Anything else to say?
Just enjoy simply enjoy the video.
Thank you so much and get well soon. I'm so glad that you joined the festival and see you next year also.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hello, I am Fionn.
And I am Jonathan, and together we are
Fionnathan.
We're going to share with you our food waste disruption story.
I was a healthy baby. I loved food then, and I still do today. Here's one of my first meals and a much more recent one. My early life was simple and routine. No television, a stone cottage with a thatched roof. We visited the cows and pig each week when we collected our vegetables from a farm.
But Fionn's early life was also complicated, with regular trips between his two parents' homelands on two continents. For his first 4 years of life, I was still living in the United States, so Fionn was a real jet setter.
I have a healthy relationship to nature. I loved animals when I was a little boy, and I still do today. I became an amateur ecologist. Here are photos of the stranded Well, of course I did.
We should point out that what looks like a bottlenose dolphin on the beach there is really a water-filled bottlenose dolphin replica.
Yeah.
But it's as heavy as a dolphin would be. So they teach how to carefully roll it and keep it well. It was quite a sad course to take.
It was,
because most times that whales or dolphins beach, they're not savable. They come up on purpose to die.
Yeah.
And but then again, there's sometimes some healthy ones that you can save.
Yeah.
But you've done a lot of training and independent studies in nature over the years.
Yes. I also teach children about wildlife. I've visited 90 primary schools across Ireland and taught over 10,000 children. I think that helping young people to appreciate the natural world is very important.
You and I recently wrote 2 blog posts for a group called Conservation Optimism, and they're a group based at Oxford University. And we were also interviewed for a podcast called Enabling Commons, which is all about the intersection of climate change and disability. And that's created at McGill University in Montreal.
I have my own interview series on YouTube, and I ask climate questions of experts there. I love my wagon.
So Fionn used to take his wagon everywhere he'd go. It didn't matter if there was anything in the back of it or not.
Yeah, as a teenager, my mom helped me to start a recycling project.
And that was with your second wagon. You literally pulled the wheels right off the first one. In our small town, we were expected to bring all glass recycling down to the harbor and sort it into larger bins.
I could collect up my neighbor's glass and bring and sort it for them. It was a nice excuse to hone my wagoning skills and a nice deed for my neighbors.
So just before Fionn moved from Mount Shannon in County Clare up to here to the city of Galway, the health department agreed to give you funding so that you could design and pay for your own supports.
Yeah.
And we decided that you would hire me.
Yes, that's right.
And that we would start a social enterprise together.
Yeah.
And our social enterprise is Fionnathan Productions. And the company has 3 goals. And what are they, Fionn?
The 3 goals are, well, the first one is to help me have a great life. The second one is to share our stories in hopes of helping others to have great lives, and the third and last one is to remove obstacles that prevent people from having great lives, also known as change the world.
Yes, having a government budget means that Fionn sometimes has to do things that he doesn't want to do. Well, just like wearing a mask during the COVID scare.
I decided I need to eat good quality food and rarely indulge. I wanted to learn to cook and I added that to my list of work my supporter would do with me. It's fun to think of things like learning independent skills as the goals of our company.
It's probably why we first approached Food Cloud to ask if we could be the recipients of a weekly food donation. So Food Cloud is a social enterprise much larger than ours that made arrangements with all the large supermarket chains and said all that food that you that goes to waste, that you don't sell but goes in the bin, we can find people, charities mostly, who would like to use that food in one way and another. And so they're the in-between. And when we applied to them, we said, well, we are not a charity, we're a social enterprise. And Fionn wants to learn cooking skills. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be teaching cooking classes. So we'll take a weekly donation. And they said, right, okay, we approve you. This was cutting a long story short, right? We had to take a food handling course, right?
That's right.
And, and eventually they gave us options of which ones we wanted to sign up for. And the first donation we went to collect was in Tesco. And they gave us like, I don't know, about 6 trays of food. And we said, oh, well, we could use this. And we picked through them and we took about 1.5 trays. And we were real happy with that. And we went on home. And then we got an email from Food Cloud saying, no, you're supposed to take all of it. And so we thought, well, what are we going to do with all this food? Much more than we could eat ourselves. And I thought, well, let's share it with our neighbors. Because we had moved into an apartment complex. Right? And we have lots of neighbors. And I said, Fionn, would you like to bring round food to the people we know in your wagon? And offer it to them. And I think you were pretty thrilled to do that. And then
definitely.
We still had plenty of food left. And I said, well, what about all the other neighbors? Why don't you go around and just knock on people's door and ask them if they'd like food? And you weren't the least bit shy about that, were you?
No, I wasn't actually, no.
And how did people respond?
Some people responded gratefully, and others were a bit shy or timid. At first.
But along the way, more and more people kind of joined in, right? And we're happy to not only to take some food, but also to let other people know and to lend a hand. And we've developed a network now, right? And I think it's really important because there's estimates that roughly 1/3 of the food in the food chain is wasted. And so whatever we can do to change that system. And, putting food on people's tables, it's great, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is.
We love it, and I think others really do as well.
I feel that I am a part of my community and that people appreciate me for who I am. Independence is fine, but it's really just one step on the way towards interdependence. I want to be able to rely on people and for people to be able to rely on me.
Yes. So now we'll tell you a little bit about each of the shops that we work with. We'll start with Tesco, because they're the ones that provide us with the most food, don't they?
That's right. Yes.
And each of the 3 chains, they have a different philosophy of what is food waste and what should be shared. So in the case of Tesco, they discount everything first. So you might have noticed if you go to a Tesco in the afternoons in the chilled section, they often have these yellow stickers where things are discounted down, and then near the end of the day, well, they used to just throw it all out, and now they make a food called donation from it. So we often have those yellow stickers that says discounted, but it's all there's such big supermarkets that even though we might get 6 trays, 8 trays on a single evening, and a tray is a big quantity of food in itself, they'll all be food with that day's date on it that says sell by today. And so that's why they don't keep it for one more day. But having said that, I mean, everything is either like fresh enough, meaning you have another week or so to eat it, or you could put it in the freezer and wait a month or whatever. Or it's not even ready yet. Like when we get pears and avocados and such, they usually are too hard to eat. Even though it said sell by today, they're not ripe yet. Right. So we very rarely get food that's actually like past consumable. Right. It happens once in a while where you get like a potato that's all soft and yuck or something like that, or a whole bag of potatoes, but it's not very common at all. So Tesco provides us with breads, fruits and vegetables, meat, dairy, prepackaged meals, pies and cakes, all of those kind of things. Then moving on to Lidl, their food, well, they have eggs, a lot of eggs that they offer us.
That's for sure.
Breads, fruit and vegetables, but they also would have for us paper products, chocolates, crisps, and even some big Spanish hams, whole hams with a leg in it and all that. That I think retail for 40 or 50 quid a piece kind of thing. And in their case, it's not usually short-dated food. It can be, but it's often the packaging is damaged too. So even the things that are sort of the items that they have in for just a few weeks, the stuff in the middle of the shop, even broken packaging on that sort of thing, will often get. And because they get a lot of little fingers that rip into crisp packages, or the big packs with 20 little packs inside, or chocolate boxes of chocolates or something, a lot of those end up in the food cloud delivery. So, and in that case, whereas Tesco brings all the food out onto the shop floor for us to pick up in one corner, in Tesco, or rather in Lidl, we go right into the warehouse, and the food is waiting there for us. And then they also have, like, it's almost like what in the States we call dumpster diving, because inside a lot of their produce is just in a great big bin, ready to be trashed. And sometimes we go through that, and it'll be the sort of thing where there's a net of oranges, and out of the 20 oranges, one of them is just a little green mold bomb. And all the others are perfect. And of course, they can't sell it with that one. So they take the whole thing and they toss it in the bin. And then we take it out and we leave the spoiled one and we take the other 19.
That's right.
And so that's the story with Lidl. And Aldi is completely different. Aldi, the manager told us, well, we don't keep any of the breads or eat produce or anything because we don't think that's of high enough value to make it worth your while. So it's only meat, but they have a policy that the meat that they're going to give us, it's not short dated, but rather you might notice sometimes near the checkout, people sometimes change their mind and they leave a pack of meat by the checkout counter. And rather than bring that back to the cooler on the floor, they don't know how many minutes it's been out of the cooler, but they're confident that it isn't spoiled. They put it into this flash freezer. super cold, and it turns to a frozen block in minutes, and that's what we get from them. And so strangely, they have this attitude about food safety, that they'll only give us frozen meat.
Yeah.
And that's fine too, right?
Oh, yes.
So we've said on this slide that these are our benefactors, but you can question that too, the whole relationship. It works well for us.
Yeah.
But we also realize it works pretty well for them too. And so we question whether we are their, whether they're doing something nice for us or we're doing something nice for them.
Right.
Or a bit of both.
Yeah.
And what's that image there of that crocodile?
That image there, that's the Egyptian plover is doing the Nile crocodile a favor by cleaning in between its teeth.
Yes, and the crocodile never chomps down on the bird because the bird is helping the crocodile, helping it with its oral hygiene.
Yes.
Right? Keeping its
that's right.
mouth healthy by taking out all the little scraps of meat.
Yeah.
And in that way, we are helping Aldi and Lidl and Tesco.
Yeah.
We saw a sign at Lidl that said zero waste. We have zero waste. And we can tell you that that's not actually true because we see those big bins that are going out the door.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've gotten much better than they used to be. But we did ask, well, what do you do with the stuff that we don't take?
Right.
And they said, well, all the shops in Ireland bring it to one place and then it's incinerated. And, you know, the heat from the burning will turn turbines and make energy out of it.
Yeah.
But it's very inefficient. It's not like they don't separate out any of the packaging or anything. They just throw everything all at once into the fire.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's not zero waste.
Right.
By our standards.
Yes. Also, we have the image of the crying Indian there.
Yes, and you may not have heard of, but as a child growing up in America, there was a very effective ad campaign of the crying Indian. And basically what it told people was, maybe you can see it, it says at the bottom on his chin, people start pollution, people can stop it. And a whole generation of children grew up to be very passionately anti-pollution. And because the Indian cried when he saw all the trash in the rivers and such. But it turned out that this whole ad campaign was a very clever move by the, I think it was the bottle and can industry.
Oh, yeah.
Because individual states were putting in place like laws that required that cans would have a deposit on them and that people would return the cans to the places where they bought them after they drunk whatever was inside.
Yeah.
And then the can companies, the bottlers and such, would be responsible for recycling it all. And they wanted to make sure that did not happen. And so they came up with the very idea that it's people who are responsible for the pollution.
Yeah.
And you should feel bad if your parents are polluting. And they very effectively changed the course of the dialogue entirely. And they turned it from this problem of waste is about consumers rather than about us big corporations.
Yes.
And so we wonder and we worry a little bit that we're being used to greenwash.
Right.
And so, I guess that would be something interesting to talk with all of you about. That's a question we have.
Yes.
So we do try to use all the items that were given or find other homes for them if not ourselves.
Yeah.
On the rare occasion when food is actually spoiled, we separate the compost from the recyclables and we bin them accordingly. Or we find an unexpected use for them. So here's what we did with dozens of cut flowers.
Yes.
We did a photo shoot.
And here's my application photo for the International Melon Head Society.
Mm-hmm. We should make it clear that we are no saints.
Exactly.
We bring home all this food in my diesel engine car. We've been on 4 plane trips in the last 3 months, and we're planning to be on 10 more plane trips before the year is done. But we do plant trees and community pollinator gardens.
Yeah.
Just outside the window there, we can see the wildflowers.
Yeah.
We buy most of our clothes secondhand, and we disrupt the food waste cycle.
So we hope to leave the world a better place. Get in touch if you want to explore how you might do something similar in your neighborhood. We're happy to share what we've learned.
And we're on many social medias and all over the web. We have a web page. It's all Fionnathan. And we're the only Fionnathan on the World Wide Web. So
yes, we
easy
are.
to find. And thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Hello.
Wow, really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish, well, I hope Fionnathan, they both get better. But I mean, it's so interesting because, in America, we just started doing, what's it called? In LA, anyways, the food waste. So we're like compost. They just started last month, and nobody knows at least we didn't know what the trash can was, because there's really no education about, where to put the food waste in, where to put the recyclables in. And then they brought up such a good point about recyclables. Is it recyclables? Because in America, we're taught that, it's such an efficient system burning everything for energy. So it's nice to know that, there, what's really happening. So yeah, it was really interesting.
Yes, I think food is something that relates to people everywhere. This is something so close to us that through food you can talk about almost anything in society. And
Yeah.
it's so close to us that it also, you have a lot of feelings around food, and it takes a lot of our times during the day also. And I think Fiona and Jonathan are inviting us to talk about food and food waste in our communities, because perhaps if we start talking about food and food waste, we can also talk about other things that we have in the festival. And like Strindberg Laboratory and Fiona and Jonathan, we can make it fun through art and culture.
Yeah.
So I think this is something that we must continue together.
Yeah, and the theme of waste is such an interesting thing, because it's not just food waste, it's people waste. Like people that are considered, they're kind of a waste of time, or stigmatized, or so it's interesting, when you're doing art and theater, you realize that so many of the issues or the scenes or the conflicts are really about the same thing, which is about equality. Um, and the other thing too, is about, like, the value of it. How much water did it take to produce? How much natural resources? If it's a meat, obviously it's a living thing that was, done by that. So I think also, we get into this kind of bigger issue, which is about waste in general. Which is obviously also unnatural in a way, because in nature nothing's wasted, and that's why it's The system, has till we got involved, has been going on for at least millions and hundreds of thousands and millions of years, and it was doing fine because nothing was wasted. So, anyways, yeah. So we hope Fionnathan and gets better soon. I see them thumbs up, but that. So we just want to thank them so much for sharing, and we're excited to see more of their work in the future, and what they're doing. And good job, Fionnathan. They're a fantastic job. Well, that being said, we do have about. Oh, they're going to say something. Hold on. Oh, you're saying goodbye? Okay. That being said, we have about 20 minutes to fill. So we thought, what better way to fill it with some opera? So this is the last video we made, called The Night at the Opera. Oh, Marcus, you have something you want to say? Sorry.
Just wanted to thank Fiona and Jonathan. And if this is a separate event, let's start the stream again.
Start it again? And then
Yes.
start again after? Okay, we'll
Yes.
do it. All right.